Hey guys, I'm alive. I promise. Sorry I haven't been in this week. I'm not going to be in for the rest of this week. You're going to have a sub for today, which is Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday. And I believe you're going to have Miss Andrews again. So, in case the sub on Tuesday didn't tell you, my husband and I were in a car accident on Monday. We hit somebody because she came out of nowhere, and we had the right of way. So, but anyways, we're okay. I just have a couple little bumps and bruises. I'm still sore, a little stiff. My husband's okay, but our car is totaled, which means that it's no longer usable, which means the damage to it is a lot more than the insurance company is willing to pay to repair it. Essentially, there's $15,000 worth of damage to our car, and it's only worth $17,000 right now. So, do the math. But yeah, we're okay. I went to the doctor today. There's no broken bones or anything. But also, I have contracted pink eye, which is why my eyes are looking swollen. Trust me, I look a lot better now than I did yesterday. I will show you pictures when I get back. It's literally the grossest thing. Anyway, so before you guys check your bell ringers that you've did since I've been gone, and before you complete page 25 of your bell ringers, I'm going to do a quick review and hopefully break things down so that you guys can hopefully understand this a little bit better since I haven't been there to explain it. So what you've been doing for the past couple days with your bell ringers is labeling and identifying notes of the major scale. Now, major scale in music, all that means is it's basically what we do for our warm-ups. So when we sing la 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 or za da da, I go up to a new key, which is a new major scale. And you'll notice that the pattern between those are all the same. You're just getting higher and higher and higher because they're all major scales. They are made up of all major and minor seconds. Major second being your whole step. Minor second being your half steps. And that's what you guys were starting to learn about and starting to do. So, your major scale, I'm going to tilt this down just a teensy bit. There you go. Okay, so your major scale always has the same whole steps and half steps. We'll get there in a second. So, if you guys know the musical Sound of Music, they sing the song. Do, a deer, a female deer, re, a drop of golden sun. And they keep going through all the different solfege notes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do represent the different whole steps and half steps, which is why they talk about that in your bell ringer packet. So from do to re, you have to remember that that is a whole step. And this pattern that I'm going to show you is the pattern that you use for all major scales. Okay? So from do to re, and bear with me, I'm going to write upside down. That is a whole step, which is represented by a W. From re to mi, that's another whole step. And I have to sneeze. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Okay, I'm good. Okay. From mi to fa, that's your first half step. And that's what is represented by an H for half. And that's what they were showing you at the beginning of the beginning of this lesson about major scales, okay? So your first two notes are a whole, and then a half step. Then you got another whole step. From so to la is a whole step. La to ti is a whole step. Ti to do, that's your last half step. So you'll notice in the major scale there are only two half steps. From mi to fa and from ti to do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And mi to fa and ti to do are your only half steps. Now, just like we do in our warm-ups, za, we're only going up to so there. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, da, da. New key that's higher. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, da, da. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. The pattern stays the same. The key will get higher or lower, but the pattern stays the same. That's just trying to make a connection to help you understand a little bit better. So this whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half is your pattern that you should have used in all of those examples that you were filling in your bell ringers, okay? And again, your whole steps are your major seconds. Your half steps are your minor seconds. Sorry, I'm watching my cat and I feel like he's going to jump up on the table any minute. So anyway, let's go over how to use this over here. I hope you like my drawing. I drew a really nice piano. So remember that all the white keys, we are labeled with the musical alphabet. And then those black keys are labeled with your sharps and your flats. Remember that if it's a sharp, that means you have raised the white key by half a step, which means the pitch has gone half a step higher, a minor second higher. If you are flatting a note, that means that you are lowering the white key, the sound of, the pitch of the white key by half a step or by a minor second, so from E to E flat, okay? If you're raising it a half a step, which means you're adding a sharp, you move to the right on the keyboard. Sorry, I had to look to make sure I didn't tell you the wrong way. If you are lowering the white key, you move to the left, so from E to E flat, which means moving right and left on the keyboard, okay? So let's use this to help us do this, and we got to use this pattern, okay? But before we use this pattern, we got to write in the rest of these notes. Treble clef, line note, first letter name is E for Elvis. Elvis goes boogieing down Fremont. And then for space notes, F, A, C, E. Now remember, when you're drawing these whole notes, it always has to go line and then space and then line and then space and so on and so forth. So this is a line note, so it means the next one's a space. And these are going to be absolutely stunning because I'm drawing them upside down. So after space, you go line again. After line, you go space. Space and then line. Line, space. Almost there. And then line, and then space. And then in your packet, remember that it said the major scale has 8 notes, or 8 letter names in them. Okay, so that means you're going to have 8 whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The letter name you begin on is also the letter name you end on, which means these two should be the same letter name. This is the lower note, and this is the higher note. They're the same one, but one is lower, one is higher. It's like when I asked men, specifically River, when I asked them to sing an octave lower, same note, an octave lower, okay? Same note, just an octave lower or an octave higher. So we know that this letter name is E. This is the first space, so that's F. Second line, which is G. These look funny. And then A for the second space. B for the third line. C for the third space. D for the fourth line. And then E for the fourth space. So notice how we started on E, we end on E. Okay? So your first step was to draw those whole notes. Second step was to write in those letter names. Third step, use the pattern whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and fill it in down here. So first one should be a whole. Second one should be a whole. Third one should be a half, because that's what's on the paper. You're copying down this pattern over here, because the pattern is the same for all major scales. You hear that? Sin, what are you doing? She's playing with a pen. I'll show you them after we're done. So So you have whole, whole, and then your third note needs to be a half. Okay? And then the fourth one needs to be a whole. Fifth one needs to be a whole. Sixth one needs to be a whole. And the last one is your last half. Because remember, a major scale only has 2 half steps in it, between the second and fourth note and the very last one. Okay, so we've copied this pattern down here. So now we need to see if we need to add any sharps or flats to make this pattern true. Okay, and what that means is that we need to make sure that between each of these notes are either a whole step or half step, and if they're not, we have to add either a sharp or a flat, depending on where it falls on the keyboard. So our first needs to be a whole step. So from E to F needs to be a whole step. So let's see if it's a whole step. E to F. Notice that it's not a whole step. It's a half. There's nothing in between E and F. We need to make it a whole step. Well, how can we make it a whole step? We can achieve that by raising the F by half a step to F sharp. Because you'll see from E to F sharp, that's a whole step because F is in between. Okay? So that means we need to add a sharp. You'll add it right next. You'll add it to the left of the whole note in the same space. And then also add it to that letter name below, F sharp. Next, from F sharp to G, that needs to be a whole step. So let's see if it is. And if it isn't, we have to make it true. We have to make it a whole step. Okay, so F sharp to G. That's a half step. So we have to make it a whole step, which means we can raise G to G sharp. Okay, we don't want to do it A flat. We want to do it to G sharp. We want to keep the same letter name. Okay, which is why we're going to make it G sharp rather than A flat. Okay, keep it the same letter name. So, to the left of the whole note, on the same line, draw the G sharp, and then next to the letter name G, draw sharp. Hopefully my pen isn't drying out. Okay, next, from G sharp to A, that needs to be a half step. So it needs to be no keys in between those two notes. So G sharp to A. There's nothing in between. So we don't have to add a sharp or a flat. We can keep it just as it is because that's a half step and that's what it's supposed to be. From A to B needs to be a whole step. So let's see. A to B. A to B. That's a whole step. Don't have to do anything. From B to C needs to be a whole step. Okay? B to C. B to C. Well, that needs to be a whole step, and that's actually half. So let's make it a whole. We can achieve that again by keeping the same letter name and raising it half a step to C sharp. So to the left of the C sharp in the same space, draw that sharp. Draw the sharp next to the letter name as well. Next, from C sharp to D, that needs to be a whole step as well. So let's see if it is. C sharp to D. It's a half. We need to make it a whole, okay? Because we need to keep this pattern the same, okay? So that's why we are adjusting those letter names. So from C sharp to D is a half step. Let's raise it because we want to keep the same letter name. Raise it half a step to D sharp. So from C sharp to D sharp, that's a whole step. So put your D sharp right next to the left of the D. Sin, she's being so naughty. She's playing with a whole bunch of things right now. Where did you even find that? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Anyway, so make sure you write it next to the D sharp as well. I'm sorry, write the sharp next to the D, letter name D as well. Last but not least, from D sharp to E needs to be a half step. So let's see if it is. D sharp to E. There's nothing in between. It's a minor second. It's a half step. We don't have to do anything. Okay? So hopefully this helped out a little bit. And I know it can be a little bit confusing as to why we need to add the sharps and flats. And remember, that's because we need to keep this pattern the same. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And to achieve that, these letter names going from one letter name to the next need to show that it's a whole step or a half step. And if it doesn't, like when we did from F sharp to G, that was only a half. So we had to make it G sharp to make it a whole step. Okay. Oh my goodness, Knox. Okay, real quick. I will show you my cats. And then you guys are going to complete page 25 of your bell ringers. And then Miss Andrews will post the answers on the board for you to check your work. So, oh goodness, Knox. This is Knox. Say hi, Knox. Oh, now Minnie's saying hi. Okay, so this is Knox. He's my only boy. Sin. Here's Cinnamon. She's the oldest, but she's the smallest. She's precious. Oh, Knox, I know you're hungry. This is Sin, and she's precious. She looks angry, but trust me, she's not. You're a good girl. Last but not least is Minnie. This is Minnie. She's my precious lady. Say hi, Min Min. Oh, goodness, I know. So, hopefully you guys have had a good week. And hopefully this cleared up a little bit of misunderstandings that you guys have had. If there are questions next week, I'll answer them so that we can make sure we're all on the same page and we won't move on until everybody understands. Make sure that your bell ringers are complete because I will be collecting them not this week but next Friday. Okay? I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and thanks.